Hey everybody. So I was invited last weekend to a private training session with Professor Roy Dean and with Chris Odell, who runs Datsusada, the company behind the Joe Rogan fanny pack, and they make some nice hemp gis and other products. The concept for today's video is the hammer and the nail. I'm going to show some rolling footage. I'm going to narrate the footage. And the concept is that we need to train with people that we are more skilled than, and we need to train with people that we are less skilled than. And this is a good example of that, and I hope you enjoy the video. And if you want to train with me and Professor Javier Vazquez and Professor Huron Gracie, we are running Old Grappler Summit this May, and it's going to be incredible. So I'll put the link below for that, and I hope you enjoy today's video. All right, starting from our knees because we're old, Chris steps up and I remove the post. Sometimes the easiest way to sweep someone is just to pull out a post. Now I want to stay a little out of range from his open guard and see if I can find an angle to get past. He turtles up to defend. I'm going to follow and take his back, but he keeps the rotation going, pummels for an underhook from side control. I go to knee on belly. I'm thinking about jumping to the other side, but he puts me in quarter mount. So I will come back to take his back, but he pummels again to recover guard. That was a really nice defensive sequence. Chris goes for a hip bump sweep, but I use that moment to get past his guard. Let's look at this again because there's an important principle here. For Chris to sweep me, he has to open his guard. And if I deny his leverage and use that moment to backstep, then it's possible to get through into side control. You'll notice that Chris never lets me flatten him out from side control. He's always looking to get to his side, which is really good defensively. I go to the back, but he comes back into me, pummels for an underhook. He's thinking about single leg, and I'll let him come up. I've been playing offense. Now it's his turn. When I'm on the bottom, I just try to keep my feet sticky. It looks like we might end up in half guard, but I get that half butterfly hook, which lets me lift and tip him over and come to the top. We're back in quarter mount. I'm thinking about the back again, but Chris showing really good defensive discipline and good mechanics. He pulls my posture down as he recovers guard and immediately starts setting up a triangle choke. It's important when you're a more advanced student to allow yourself to be vulnerable. Now, Chris could have probably finished that, but instead I'll pressure a little bit and get past and set up a gift wrap and start taking the back. I throw my leg over, trapping the arm, which puts him at risk of a triangle choke or an arm bar. Chris knows that. He's going to rotate into me and come up. He leaves that arm behind, which puts him at risk of another triangle choke or an arm bar, but he slips the elbow. I transition to a knee bar, and Chris is laughing because he knows he's on the run, and then we both come up. Chris starts working on taking my back. You'll notice I peel a foot off immediately. My rule of thumb is don't give your opponent everything they want offensively. Now check out this angle. This is what lets me access a knee bar. Chris turns his knee to defend, and I'm going to gather him up into kind of a triangle with the leg in. I think they call this the cry angle, and I let it go because it's kind of mean. Chris slips to half guard and then kind of a quarter guard, quarter mount situation as he moves to a high mount. Again, letting myself be vulnerable here. I'm not defending too much, but I do test his balance. Sometimes if you whip your legs around, you can tip him. So I just want to see if he's got good balance. He's thinking about an Ezekiel choke, so I hip out a little bit to get out. He goes to knee on belly. That's very good. I'm going to turn away and come up into kind of a panda position, but I'm at risk for having my back taken, which he does. And then he rotates up to mount, and I pull his leg through to expose his back. And let's look at that again because there's a real important principle there. Joe Moreira has a series of principles that he advocates for, and one of those is that whatever direction your opponent wants to go, help them go farther in that direction. I know that Chris needs to bring his leg over to mount me, so I'm going to scoop it and pull it farther than what Chris intended, and in doing so, begin exposing his back. But Chris knows what's up. So I come up and he immediately sickle sweeps me. That was really good. That's one of my favorite sweeps. That and the tripod sweep. And now it's Chris's turn to see if he can set up some offense. Chris grabs a figure 4, which means he's either thinking of taking my back or the armbar. He slides his knee up, so definitely the armbar. I need to monitor that left leg of his because he needs that over my face to finish the armbar, and I need to be able to find an angle so I can slip my elbow, which I do right there, and that leads me to being able to start thinking about taking his back. I'm going to bump him here so I can extract my head, and because he rotated, he did the right thing defensively, I need to come up into his guard. I'm driving forward, which is not normally the recommendation from guard. This is something you see wrestlers do or maybe white belts, but I want to see how he responds to that. He goes to rubber guard and starts exposing for an omoplata, which is great. I'm going to try to duck under that leg, but he's not letting me through, so I might have to go onto my back and rotate through to get the angle, to get the arm out. And I end up kind of on his back, although he's sitting on me more like a lazy boy. Jiu-jitsu's full of moments like that where you end up in strange configurations. I come up, Toriano guard pass, and Chris knows that he's at risk for an armbar. He knows he's at risk for a choke. He knows he's at risk to have his back taken, and so he's just shutting things down. I love that he has his feet connected to the mat, the balls of his feet. He has active feet. Everything's engaged. That's very good defensively. And I suspect he's going to try to, he tries to pummel, turn back into him. That's a well-worn pathway, pummeling for that underhook. And I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do there, but he comes up and in doing so gives me the arm. And so now it's my turn for the omoplata. Chris postures to defend the omoplata, but I'm going to drag him in a circle. This is a little trick I learned from Carlos Machado years ago for flattening people out, but Chris slips the arm, and I've just brought dishonor upon myself because I train with Clark Gracie, and I should be able to control that better. But he's laughing now because he went from the kettle to the frying pan. I've got a collar choke with my shin against his neck, and now I'm taking his back. Honestly, I could finish this choke, but that's not the point. The point is to create dilemmas, create problems to overcome, and allow him to overcome the resistance. We rotate to guard, and I go for a high guard just to keep control. I'm thinking maybe armbar. I'm thinking sweep. I'm thinking maybe triangle choke, but he does a good job of keeping everything locked up and gets his posture in order to set up a guard pass. You can't really see it very well, but I'm controlling his right arm, the cross-facing arm. I'm punching that under him, and I've reached over the top. I'm thinking about a harpoon sweep. I need to rotate and get in line. There's a timing element to making this work, and there I go. Now I've got him over, and because I'm already controlling that arm, all I have to do is punch it out and turn it into either a straight arm lock or a kimura. I could finish this. It's really more about creating dilemmas. So I let it go. I'm thinking maybe arm triangle, but he's blocking my ability to get to the other side. So I think I'll let it go and let him up. The clock is starting to wind down, so I'm going to let him work for maybe one final offensive sequence. Let's see what Chris can do from mount. He's thinking Ezekiel choke, but he lets that go. Instead, he pins my biceps with his shin and he pins my arm. So he's thinking triangle choke. He just needs to lift my head and get that leg under there. Now, I can't defend a triangle very well off of my back. I need to get him onto his back, but there's a timing element. I need to wait for his post to be gone there. And now I can tip him over and come to the top. And I can't linger. I'm going to try to pressure him and get through. But he adjusts his angle very nice, retaining the crossed legs, and it looks like he's going to try working on an arm bar. I'm trying to slip my elbow. He's keeping it tight, and then he puts it in the armpit. Very nice finish. Good job, Chris. Really well done. Next up, Professor Roy Dean. Now it's my turn to be the nail. Roy has a decade more jiu-jitsu than I do, and he's 17 feet long. So I lift those long legs and use some hip drive to get through. Roy loves this arm positioning where he gets an underhook and he denies the crossface. I'm going to slip to the other side, but he catches me with his instep, starts to sweep me, and I scoop back to create some space to get back to guard. I'm thinking about maybe setting up a triangle, but Roy retracts, so I come back. Arm drag, he steps up, and I'm going to capture that leg and stretch him out. Not really X guard. This is more sort of like kuru guard, where I use my one leg to stretch him out. I like to do this as a footlock setup. There's a straight ankle lock, or if they roll through, I can switch to a knee bar, but Roy's hip to that because he taught me that move. Instead, I'll come up and see if I can take the back. Of course, he grabs my arm for a kimura. This is a problem, but I'm going to use my instep against his leg to create some instability so I can come up. He threatens a little bit of a guillotine, so I pull my head out, and now he's in butterfly guard. He's very dangerous in butterfly with that length, and I'm just trying to stay at the end of that range. But of course, I leave my arm available, and we get a good laugh out of that. That was a white belt move right there on my part. Little hand fighting there as Roy pulls me into half guard. I swivel perpendicularly from half guard so I can sit on his leg and control him and keep him from being able to move his hip. Of course, that knee shield's a problem. I'm going to try sprawling on it, but man, his length is always a problem. He wants to come up. I want to come up. I'm going to sneak through to take the back, and he turtles. I'll wedge a knee in. I'm thinking crucifix if I can capture that arm with my outside leg, but he wants to come over the top, which is a problem. I hold on a little too long and end up on the bottom here. And he's going to capture my arm, drop into an arm bar. Now, I need to get the angle so I can slip the elbow, which I do, but he's going to switch to the other arm. He's incredibly good at that switch when one arm is not available, so I need to go to the other direction to slip the other elbow and scoot out the back. And now it's his turn to be on the lazy boy.
I like the old Roy better.
There could be an omoplata here, but his elbow is real heavy, and I just didn't feel like I could swivel out. I'll play a little high guard. See if we can set up an armbar, maybe. Right here. I don't quite have the angle. I want to throw that leg over. So I'll push the face, throw the leg over, but he pulls that out. I get my hand in the collar just to keep some connections. I'm using my shin against his shin. I like using my instep. He's trying to knee cut past, and I'm just staying sticky with that instep. He gets through, and he's on the hunt again for that top arm. Kind of a Crussian Russian kimura or armbar setup. Roy loves that, and I have to take it seriously. Now he's going to get his kimura grip. I know that he's going to rip that arm out, and that's going to be my moment to go with it in order to slip the elbow right there. Let's look at that again because there's a defensive principle that I think is really important. The counter to this position is to get my back to the mat and pivot into him so I can slip the elbow. But I can't do that while he has his weight on me. So sometimes you have to be patient, knowing he's going to rip that arm out, and that's my moment to turn, slip the elbow. The right escape at the wrong time is the wrong escape. We end up back in my guard, and I go for a triangle and tip him. I probably should have gone for that arm right away, but I'm breathing pretty heavy here. You can't see the pressure when you watch jiu-jitsu, and even though we are training at a snail's pace, the pressure's real. The pressure's real, and I'm getting tired. Roy rolls up, and I stay in front of him, and now he really puts the pressure on. He's got that overwrap with his left arm, and he's into my sternum, and he feels heavy. Roy's thinking about setting up a little kesagatame, but I'm trying to keep my elbows in there as a wedge. And I'm hoping maybe I can slip to the back. I immediately go for some collar control and throw my hook around so I can come up. I usually like to take the back from this quarter mount position, but Roy is keeping his top elbow against my hip, preventing me from advancing my position. What's funny is that even though I have the dominant position, I'm the one that feels unstable here. In jiu-jitsu, there are often moments where it doesn't appear like anything is going on, but make no mistake, this is a battle of inches. I'm trying to clear his half guard so I can advance my position, but now he's back up. He goes to arm drag me, and I immediately arm drag him. That's a good pro tip. You get arm drag, you arm drag back, and he's past my guard, crushing Russian, and we are back to this dilemma. Roy throws his leg over for an arm bar, and I'm going to tap early to this because that's my bad shoulder, and there's no way I'm getting out of this. We start again, and I jump into Roy's lap. There's a sweep that I had forgotten about, and I was going through some old media, and I saw a seminar that Roy taught in Kuwait many, many years ago, and he taught that sweep, and we were talking about it earlier. I'm going to switch to a north-south choke. And my goal when I set up chokes is just to take out the slack initially. I've got my rib cage against his face to prevent him from turning in, and I'm blocking his hip so he can't turn into me, and I'm just working on getting into position.
Oh, you got me.
And I got the tap.
That was too good. That was too good.
We reset, and I go for a Toriando guard pass. I think that should be a staple in everybody's arsenal. I use it to get to a leg drag position. But he comes up in this kesagatame from the bottom position that we've been playing around with. And check out the angle. He swivels his feet out, immediately Americanas me. Really nice. Your boy Rick is getting tired. I am moving slow. Roy gets his hand into the collar and then sets up a loop choke. I'm going to go with it. That's the counter to the loop choke, to go with it. Roy tries to step over, but I get my shin in the way. You should always try to get obstructions. Don't let people just move with impunity. Roy likes this knee on knee kind of position, sort of a knee on belly, but he's pinning a knee. And then he can just sort of cut through. Looks like Roy is setting up kesagatame. I need to either tip him or sneak out the back, which I do. I bump him so I can create some space to come up. He threatens a guillotine, so I extract my head. And now we're back in Roy's butterfly guard. Again, those long legs. I have been swept by Roy 1,000 times the same way. I try to clear that leg connection, but I get swept.
My wish is for
Straight to a collar choke. Well, I'm not sure what I was saying there. I think I was just saying, bro, do you have to sweep me every time that way? But I've got my arms in to protect my neck. Roy's going to try to take my back. I hide my arms and slip low. That's a good way to deny back control, is you slip low. Of course, you need to be a little careful of not getting pulled into a triangle or mount, as Roy is doing to me. He's got that arm and he's going to take it. I think this is the last sequence. Toriando to side control, and I am running out of steam. A little pressure from side control, but Roy is doing a good job of keeping those strong frames. He's not going to let me cross face him. He's not going to let me advance my position. Instead, he's going to start working those angles. I'm trying to overwrap, maybe put a little pressure on him, but he's good at finding those angles and then sweeping me over straight to a straight arm lock. I was definitely the nail during that roll, but that's good. We need to train with people that are better than us, and we need to train with people that are less skilled than us. Thanks for watching.